Hey guys, Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the book club book from April, which was The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the conclusion to the Indian Lake trilogy. So it's the third book, and it was pretty good. More on that in a minute, but I want to remind everybody May's book is The Blacktongue Theif by Christopher Buehlman. I started reading it. I'm like maybe a quarter of the way through. It's pretty good so far. So we'll talk about that in the beginning of June. The book for June is going to be Stephen King's new short story collection that's coming out on Tuesday. It's called You Like It Darker. Very excited for that. Very, very excited. I still haven't caught up with all my Stephen King reading. I still got a couple more of his more recent novels to read, but I'm just going to skip ahead because I really want to read this one. Apparently there's a story about that's kind of a sequel to Cujo in there, and some other stuff. So very excited for this one. And then our book for July is going to be The Daughter's War by Christopher Buehlman, which is a prequel, sort of The Blacktongue Theif. So we're set up very nicely to kind of just go bing, bang, boom, and then we'll see where we go from there. But that's the plan for the next few months. Also, I would like to introduce everyone to our new kitten. His name is Belvedere. We got him last week. So it's been kind of a busy couple of weeks for us. That's why I do apologize for the delay on this video. Usually I try to get these out in that first week of the month. But it's been a little crazy getting the garden going, and then this new little guy. So anyway, he's very... Ooh, kitty. He's got a lot of kitten energy. He's 2 months old. He's very, very small. He'll hopefully make some more appearances in the videos going forward. So look forward to special guest Belvedere. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk about The Angel of Indian Lake. So this is the third book. This maybe goes without saying, but there will be spoilers for the first two books. If you haven't read those, then go read them. So what's going on? Basically, we're back in Proof Rock. We've had another 4-year time jump, I think. It's like, yeah, 4 years. Jade is the history teacher. They keep getting new history teachers. Well, now Jade is the history teacher at the high school, which is kind of funny because she's got a number of felonies and people don't really like her around town. And turns out her wealthy friend Letha Mondragon is the reason that she was able to get that job. So good for that. Yeah, and it's kind of similar sort of setup as the other ones. It's a slasher, so you know. At the beginning of the novel, a couple people die. There's sort of a mystery around whodunit. But yeah, then things unfold from there. Sort of similar formula as the previous novels as well, where there'll be like a chapter of like events in Proof Rock, and then there's a chapter that's like epistolary. And in this one, it is sort of like an email kind of report from like a private investigator type agency called Baker Solutions, which is owned by Cinnamon Baker. And Cinnamon was gravely injured, has like a broken spine or something, is in a wheelchair. So you gather from those sort of email exchanges that Jade is being like followed, watched, scrutinized pretty heavily. And when the murders start to happen, obviously Jade's a suspect. She always is. That's all I'll say for kind of the setup. I don't know about this one. I don't know about it. I mean, as a whole, the series I thought was pretty good. This one's not my favorite one. I think my favorite was probably Don't Fear the Reaper. This one's pretty good, though. It reads a lot more straightforward. But oh man, we'll get into it, but there's a lot of, it's just wild. There's some crazy stuff that happens. It kind of feels like 10 slashers all kind of rolled into one. And I don't know if that's necessarily good. It's kind of all over the place a little bit. However, it was entertaining. There was some pretty cool events and sequences and things that happened in it, which I enjoyed. So, yeah, I think it was pretty good. I don't think Stephen Graham Jones is the author for me, though. This will be the fourth book of his that I've read, and I've enjoyed them, but I have never been blown away by any of them. My favorite book of his that I've read was The Only Good Indians. Anywho, let's get into like the spoilery talk. So who's doing the killing, right? That's kind of the question. There's a scene where the parents are picking up their children in this like line of cars, right? And one of the parents just gets their head like ripped off, like really suddenly. Jade kind of sees this like little kid run away, and so everyone's like, oh, it's Stacey Graves come back, she's come back. There's, theories that it's this missing child. It seems to be set up as sort of a supernatural, ghosty slasher, right? Like, who is this little kid that's able to rip the head off of a grown man? There's a fire that breaks out over on the Terra Nova side of the lake. Everyone's like, oh God, we gotta put it out, So the whole town kind of mobilizes around trying to get the fire contained because they don't want it to spread to Proof Rock. Similar to the fire that happened at the end of My Heart is a Chainsaw. Yeah, so Jade goes over there. Her dad, who was dead, was like resurrected from the lake. Similar to, Jason Voorhees kind of is just on a killing spree. He's got the golden pickaxe that was thrown in there. The theory is that he was resurrected and is on a quest for revenge because he was killed without proper justice. He was killed without a trial. Kind of like, even though he was a bad guy and he deserved it, there's this idea in the slasher world, I guess, and especially like Nightmare on Elm Street type, like Freddy Krueger was a pedo and deserved being burned alive and killed, but because the parents did that without like the law on their side, and they kind of got away with that kind of vigilante justice, that's why he's able to like come back and exact his revenge on the parents that went kind of above the law, right? So it's a similar situation. Crazy sequences where he's going around just chopping people up. There's trees falling, there's fire and stuff. A lot of people die. Banner Tompkins, Letha's husband. And Letha's out of town right now. She doesn't really make an appearance in this book till like halfway through, maybe a little more. So Banner dies. So eventually this whole fight with her dad culminates in this final showdown between her and her dad. She's all injured. She's got like a bear trap snapped onto her arm or whatever. He's got his big pickaxe. He's gonna, smash it into her head. And sort of Deus Machina, Letha comes with her helicopter and like points the blades at him and like chops him into smithereens or whatever. So he's dead now, officially. But that is not the end. It's like halfway through. There's more. So Letha's here. She finds out Banner's dead. She's very sad about that. She's like, I gotta find my daughter. Back to town. Fire's more or less contained. Kids in town are setting up like a giant projector screen to project a movie. It's a movie that one of the students made about the history of Proof Rock. So everyone's there watching this big movie on the lake, very similar to the situation that occurs in the end of My Heart is a Chainsaw. During that time, 4 giant bears come and start attacking, and they start, just mauling all the people that are there. And they're covered in this, like, sugary goop. It's very weird, and at first you're like, what the hell's going on? It turns into kind of like a monster slasher type movie for a little bit, and then I don't know, you find out that the guy whose wife's body was found in the Bronco was upset, and he like created this elaborate plan to have bears attack. He like baited them with the sugary goop. He started the fire to like drive them into this big event. It's very weird. It was a big set piece thing that was really cool with all the violence and the bears killing people and like eating people, and I don't know, it's kind of silly and weird. I didn't like it. Yeah. And this is where I started to get into my sort of issue with this book. My main issue is that it was trying to be like every type of slasher that there was all at the same time, right? We got like our supernatural slasher with her dad. We've got the whodunit slasher with like, who is this little kid that's running around? Is it Stacey Graves? Is it whatever? We got the psychotic break guy who uses uses animals to try to kill, exact his revenge on some town. Broken by grief kind of guy. And then there's even more. During the whole chaos of this bear attack, Addie, Letha's daughter, is abducted by Rexall, and he's a real douche. Everyone knows him around town as like the town creeper. He sets up like video cameras in girls' bathrooms. He's a gross guy. The rest of the book basically is them tracking him down, trying to find where he went, and then get her daughter back, right? So Letha, they get there, they find him. He's at this weird cabin, which I guess was his uncle's or something. And they find all these dead bodies. They find all these graves of these little kids. And they think that Addie was murdered by him. So, of course, Letha goes nuts and just straight up kills him. The cop that's with him, like, records it. Find out later that she wasn't killed. Her body wasn't amongst the bodies, and that Rexall wasn't the one that was killing those other kids. That it was actually his uncle's, like, secret hideout child torture thing, and that he'd been doing it since the 60s or whatever. So there's some more kind of violence and history of whatever going on in Prufrock. It just adds to the whole mythos of this town being tainted and violent, and it's a bad town. You don't want to live in Prufrock. This shit happens all the time, and it's been happening for forever. So I do kind of like that aspect of it. It kind of reminds me of like Derry, Maine, or something like that, where there's just like a deep history of violence and events that just are bad. And it seems to be that it's the town. It's, you know what I mean, or it's the lake. I guess I think that's the point. It's the lake that's like evil or causing these things. But that's the gist of the story. The ending. The whole town is looking for Addie, and Jade eventually just finds her just kind of like living in the forest, and that's kind of how it ends. Letha wants to break this cycle of like revenge and violence, and she wants to make it so that Rexall is not able to come back in the same way that Jade's dad did. So she's like, I can't get away with this. I murdered him. Straight up. Killed him. He deserved it, but I went above the law, I killed him. We have to release this video as evidence of my actions, and I have to take accountability. So Letha ends up going to jail. So I guess Aunt Jade is kind of raising Addie until Letha gets out of prison. But so again, like I said, it's kind of all over the place. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and it's kind of trying to be everything all at once. It's also trying to be like this big high body count kind of bloody ending to the story. Overall, the trilogy was fine. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. Please let me know what you guys thought in the comments. I do like to see what everyone else thinks about the story and stuff. I'm gonna finish up Blacktongue Theif, and then I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks for that one. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.